Hello and good evening. This is Joelle, and I am the Vibrarian. I'm going to just give it a few seconds here to see if anyone pops on. As usual, I'm still working out the technology, trying to make sure that everything is oriented the right way and not in reverse. So it is expanding my repertoire of tech skills in a very real way. So, welcome this Sunday evening. Welcome to the Vibrary, where I am sharing from the Oracle card decks that I use myself. And as many people know, I love Oracle cards. So tonight I'm very, very happy to be doing a reading with cards that are created by a sister that I just love. With all things intuitive, Chris. So, as I said, I'm just going to give it a few more seconds here to let everyone who's going to pop on, pop on. To those of you who are already viewing, thank you for showing up this evening. And if you're catching this at some future point, know that what you see is for you when you see it. So I'm going to be just checking in and seeing what the energy is for the general collective and also showing these beautiful decks. And I'm sure that there'll be something powerful in the messages that are seen by those who see them. So, my name is Joelle, and I'm the Vibrarian. I am all about elevating, enlightening, and empowering. And I start that process from the inside out. So, I come out here on YouTube and Instagram and social media to share with you the things that I experience that elevate my vibration, that make me feel a higher vibe than what I might be feeling on a day-to-day basis. I share with you the things that I learn that expand my consciousness. And of course, I just want to just spread good vibes to everyone. So tonight I'm featuring cards from All Things Intuitive. I have done a previous reading with these cards, and I also had an interview with Chris, who is the creator, several months ago on my podcast, The Psychic Inside Show. And we did a follow up reading on the Vibrarian Talk Show where she talked about how she came to create this first deck of cards. And I think this was over a year ago. Now, I'm certain it was over a year ago because since that time, she has created several other decks, which I am very excited to show you this evening. So, the All Things Intuitive Messages of Love Oracle cards are really so beautiful. And I've done several readings with them for my clients. Of course, I use them myself for my own readings and guidance. When she first released the deck, she actually wound up expanding the cards into more messages that came through. So I actually have the expansion pack because my deck was one of the original ones. But if you order them now, you'll get the expanded set in its totality. And you can find Chris and All Things Intuitive on Etsy and also on Instagram. As you can see, at All Things Intuitive is her social handle. So these cards are very beautiful. As we know, love covers all kinds of dynamics. Many people who tend and, of course, are very interested in the romantic expression of love, but we can love our job, our family, friends. So these messages of love can also come from spirit for us directly to let us know how beloved and cherished we truly are. Of course, those of you who are interested in love readings will be happy to know that this card deck has a lot of conversations in it about soulmates and even twin flames. And there are messages that deal with all parts of the relationship experience. So I'm going to pull some cards, and I wanted to show you that how wonderfully decks wind up coordinating with each other in terms of bringing in the messages. So the second deck that Chris created, the Hidden Truth Oracle. I love these cards. It's a vibrant pink, and you can see here we've got little electrical charge here. And this pink says to me just so much about the compassion of the divine feminine energy, the compassion of Kuan Yin, the lotus flower and pink, and the mother's unconditional love. And I love how it deepens here into the darker aspects, those things that could be hidden behind the scenes. Now, her third deck that was released, I was a little bit, I guess you would say, hesitant. And that's just my personal feeling when it tends to talk about doing shadow work. I, in my own prejudices, I guess, thought that the deck would be very dark or it would be a challenging energy to work with, but it really is not. And I have been nudged many times by Spirit to go ahead and use these cards, and the messages have always turned out to be perfectly aligned and what I needed to hear. And as you know, we have to go into the parts of ourselves that we may not want to see in order to uh, reconcile those energies and face them head on rather than trying to keep them pushed to the back and to the side and bypassing, I guess would be the right word to say that, oh, everything is all airy, fairy, and love and light. And sometimes it's not. So usually we find that there are some issues of woundedness that we are trying to protect when we step into that shadow space. And so this deck is very beautiful in terms of being able to deal with those messages in a gentle way. And her most recent deck is the Messages of Closure cards. Now, I just got these cards yesterday, and I will say that the two readings that I have given with them were very touching to the people, myself who received them, and another person who received them. Very, very touching, and of course, clearly indicated to me which one of my ancestor energies was coming forward to speak to me at that moment. And so I'll get a little bit more into this deck as we step in. But without further ado, I want to first take the Messages of Love card. Now, I do not necessarily walk through all the cards in a deck because when I'm seeing messages, I really do begin to receive the spiritual messages as soon as I see the card and the information. So it's like getting a full spectrum reading that just never ends when I look through the cards. But I will pull several today to be able to show you, and we'll see what the message that comes out. What I want to do is lay out all three of these first cards so that we can see how they begin to coordinate with each other. So we'll pause here while I go ahead and give these a shuffle and begin laying out the spread. If you check out Chris's Instagram, she has a lot of different offerings. She has, I think, created a couple spreads that you can use with her cards or any cards, and she's got information about that. She also does distance Reiki healing, which is very beautiful, little short healing meditations where she's sending Reiki out to those of us who tune in, and then other high vibe messages. So, of course, she's part of the Good Vibe Tribe, and I always tune in to see what she's talking about since we are quite aligned energetically in our love vibe. All right, one more shuffle here. All right. All right. I always read from the bottom of the deck. Now let's see what information wants to emerge from the shadows, or not from the shadows, the hidden truth behind these messages for the next layer. And then we'll get into the guidance that comes through. All of her cards are very good quality. They're a nice cardstock and they have a nice coating as well, which means that they're going to be resilient in terms of wear and tear. And I appreciate that as a person who likes to do the traditional shuffling. I'm not one for doing the hand-based shuffle. That doesn't necessarily align with my flow. But to each their own. As you can hear, these have a nice bit of snap to them. And of course, if you get any cards, I recommend that you clear them and then consecrate them in your own way so that you are using them for the purposes of the highest vibration and intention. There's a lot of information out there about how to work with your card decks, and I highly recommend. Now, I do know that Chris charges her decks with Reiki energy as well. So they come with, a little energetic love bundle, if you will. So I think that that is beautiful as well because not only is she putting her own creative and divine energy into these cards, but then she's sending you like an extra special hug as well. Now, when we spoke about how she creates cards, she shared that, Spirit really came through and specifically gave her each of the messages that appear on every single card of her deck. These were not just pulled out of thin air. They were directly given through divine guidance and inspiration. And she's produced these decks in fairly consistent order because it was just coming through for her. And I really admire and appreciate the labor pains that went into bringing forth messages of healing for others. As we all know, that when we first work, we heal ourselves. So I know that in creating these messages, they first spoke to her. Just like myself, when I read with these cards and provide these online readings, first the messages speak to me, and then they speak to others through my sharing. So it's a beautiful kind of dynamic to experience. So let's see here. Get all these on the screen. All right. So we wanted to see what guidance wants to be shown today and come through for those who are tuned in. First, with the messages of love oracle cards. Support, lean on your inner circle during this time. Whew. How many of us have our friends on speed dial right now? These are very trying times when a lot of us are taxed with all manner of energetic obligations from family, work, friends, school, our children, our own self care. It's a lot. And of course, there are a lot of things that are causing us to have responses, emotional responses. So if you are feeling challenged at any time, you're encouraged to lean on your inner circle. Also, make sure that you lean on your inner guidance. We have so many angels and higher dimensional beings around us at all times. And it's just a matter of reaching out to make that connection and to lean on them because that is why they are here to be that support for us as we are living in this dense reality. Lean on me, okay? Now, wait, the timing is not quite right. So, if there is something that you have been questioning about, trying to see, is it time? Should I do this? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I make a change? Should I do something different? Should I start the project? Should I quit the job? It's all saying that just wait a little bit longer. When you feeling an urgency to do something, you should always look behind the urgent feeling to see, are we talking out of a feeling of fear or lack? Do we feel a time pressure that if we don't do something, then we're going to miss out? The guidance is always that there is no need to rush out of fear. We will never miss that which is for us. It will always be represented. It may have a different format than what we may be expecting, but we are never going to be denied that which is in alignment with our highest good. So if you're not quite sure, I will tell you that one of the things I've been looking at is it time for me to travel, to go out of the country. And, the message that I've been getting in addition to this is just wait, the timing is not quite right. I will get my beach time in, but just not yet. All right. So, what else do we have here? Apology. You can expect the apology you want to hear. Now, in terms of situations where there is a reconciliation or something that you feel that someone has wronged you about, generally it is a two-way experience. So while you can expect to hear an apology, then you should also examine where you might need to extend the energy of an apology back to others in that dynamic. We are always mirroring our experience with others, and no one is ever blameless. So, it is saying, though, that, while you are in this situation where you might have something that feels very unresolved, to go ahead and lean on your friends for support, wait, maybe go within, check a little deeper, find your own part in the situation, and then know that the energy of reconciliation or apology or ownership of something will be coming your way. Okay, let's see what we have here. Oh, spiritual lesson. This person is in your life to teach you a spiritual lesson. All right. Very beautiful. So, as I was saying, we are all engaged in a real time, massive spiritual lesson where we are reflecting the world around us, and what we experience is simply just a matching frequency to ourselves. So, if you are experiencing something where there is anger or dissension, then go within and find out what is it in that dynamic that is causing you to feel that, and then look to see where you might have had that same energy towards others. I know one of the things that when we are in a challenging dynamic where we have either a falling out with someone, or say there's an instance where our bounds of friendship have been tested, and we feel like we were not valued in the way that we wanted to be valued in that present moment, then it is very likely that we have also given someone else that experience as well. So the spiritual lesson is to be able to turn the mirror to ourselves instead of always being the person who is pointing at others and saying that they are the ones with the problem. Of course, in the United States, that's a very big lesson for us right now, is to say, the people who irritate us or who cause us like a negative vibrational response to seeing or hearing them. And I mean that on both sides of the duality political spectrum here in the United States. There is a lesson in why this person or this energy is actually causing you to have a negative response. So look beyond the response and go in deep and see what it is teaching you about judgment, what it is teaching you about compassion, and what it teaches you about being one with all that is, even that which challenges us. Okay, so we're going to explore the next level from the Hidden Truth Oracle. All right. I want to tell you how I feel. Communication is hard. It's very challenging. Most of us, we feel that we are effective communicators. We can talk about all kinds of things, but when it comes to talking about that which is emotional, it can be very challenging. And sometimes, like in the workplace, we're not able to necessarily just let our feelings just roll because it might cause a negative fallout at work. But we certainly can tell our most trusted friends how we really feel, right? Even if we can't tell. And also, if we have someone that we are being challenged with, we can always express our feelings to the higher support that is there for us so that we can receive the support and guidance that we need to resolve those feelings. Or if we are having a throat chakra blockage, we can ask for assistance in expressing our truth in the most loving and compassionate way. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you speak through me to me through music. I just had heard "Lean on Me" with the support. So that's the other thing is that we have clairaudience is often our inner ear and our inner hearing. So take a listen to the things that you're hearing in when you wake or when you go to sleep, or if you happen to be at the store and a song comes on and it makes you kind of smile in an ironic way, like I can't believe that song is on. Know that this is part of the spirit and the divine delivering those messages to you. And yes, if you are, in a relationship dynamic or in a twin flame or soulmate type of dynamic, love dynamic, when you hear those songs on the radio that are romantic and make you feel all smushy inside, then definitely you'll want to acknowledge that yes, it is a message for your heart, especially for you. You came closer than anyone. As I said, when it gets into emotional feelings, when it gets into the heart of ourselves, we really do protect that innerness, the most tender part of us. And so, as we begin to relate with people, friends, lovers, we begin to disrobe or unclothe ourselves and to get naked with them. So, a lot of times we may move into a place of intimacy and then a wound is triggered. And so, when that happens, we can have arguments, we can cause situations so that we pull back or we push the other person away because they've gotten too close to one of our little hot spots, if you will. So a lot of times we're doing that dance of coming close and then stepping back, coming close, stepping back. So in this particular relationship or dynamic, that if you're watching, then you have a dynamic where a person is wanting to express their feelings and emotions, and it may be easier for them to speak through songs and through music than it is to verbally express it. But know that that intimate dance that you did, even though it was challenging, it was something that was deeper or closer to the heart of that person than anyone previously had made it to. Now let's see what we have here. Mm. I am becoming a better person. Now, I love this. We have a spiritual lesson, and I am becoming a better person. That is a wonderful companion message to come out. All of us are becoming better people by those things that challenge us, that grow us, even through a negative kind of resonance where we realize we don't fit with something or align with something. Well, that spiritual lesson is here to make us better people. So I think that is pretty much self explanatory. Now, let's look in to see the energies that are in the shadows that want to be shown. I scared myself that day. How many times have we found out that we got too deep, or we found out that something triggered us so badly that we were enraged and we had no idea that that level of anger was inside of us? If we had no idea that we still had a wound over losing a loved one, um, when that wells up and we've been bypassing or have boxed things up, then it can be very shocking. And especially if you're feeling emotional in a way that you are not used to, it can actually cause you to then withdraw. Again, like I said, you hit that tender spot and you realize, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was going to hurt so bad. I didn't realize I still had this wound. And that can cause us to kind of fold up and pull away. So if you have something that shocked you because it came out of yourself, definitely examine that and see what was at the heart, what was at the root of it all. Mhm. Now here we have, I know I made a mistake. Owning up to one's faults, challenges, or behaviors that could have been better is very hard to express sometimes and very hard to admit. And how many of us know what it is like to make a mistake? I think every parent tries to calm their child to say, you know what, it's okay, especially kids who are very stressed about performing correctly and getting everything just right. We always tell them it's okay. Just try it again. We can erase that answer and fill in the correct one. We're very kind and compassionate, but then when it becomes to adulthood, then we say, oh, that was unforgivable. How could you do that? And I challenge you to say that, with that same compassion that you treat a child who didn't know any better. Most of us as adults, we don't know any better until we do. But many of us don't know when we're tapping on someone's wounded self, and we don't know when we are tapping or going to have our own inner wounds tapped. So, owning up to mistakes, that part of that apology energy is, I made a mistake and I could have handled that differently. And when that energy comes out, being compassionate, excuse me. So I have a tickle in my throat and my throat is closing. So that talks about how hard it is to own up to something, especially when we are very firmly entrenched into our own identity self. It can be very hard for us to say, I made a mistake, I messed up. But if you want to have people be able to be honest about what they do towards you, then you have to be honest about what you do towards them as well. I can still see you standing there. I think all of us have this moment when we can recall a time when we inadvertently hurt someone. And when we see the pain go across their face, when we see the sadness of a tragedy go across someone's face when we've had to deliver them bad news, when we see the anger or hurt when we've said something unkind towards a person, we can still see their face long after the moment has gone. We can still see the energy of the emotion that we caused in them. And so, there's an acknowledgement here that when this particular issue that caused, there to be a need for reconciliation and where ownership and mistakes and feelings are coming into play, know that this did impact the person very deeply and that they have that image in their heart and mind still to this day. Okay. So this is very beautiful. So I hope I will see you again sometime. So we've got this, spiritual journey of a situation where we have experienced something that has made us feel that we need support. We're called on to lean on our inner circle, our guides and our friends and family to get through the challenging difficulty and to allow that time and that energy to go ahead and happen where we lean on the internal before we begin to approach the reconciliation on the outside. We have feelings that are difficult to be expressed. It seems like there is an energy where there has been an intimacy challenge, where there were wounds that were happening, or perhaps touched too close to the heart of something. And that likely there was a situation then that caused you to have a separation or a distance come between you, either to protect yourself or to exercise your boundaries. And in this dynamic, there is a spiritual lesson that is coming out, and that we are becoming a better person through it, not just the person who we are doing this dance with. Um, and that at some point we will see each other again, and that this situation will be resolved so that we can move forward, hopefully in a different vibrational dynamic. um, I think all of us can empathize with being vulnerable, putting ourselves out there, if you will, um, making mistakes and stepping on other people's toes, even when we don't mean to, touching people's wounds that we didn't know were there, and then needing to make amends for that. Um, and wanting to have an apology or an acknowledgement that this hurt was caused, or needing to give that acknowledgement to someone and express remorse for the pain that we caused them as well. So, as you can see, these, messages that are coming through are very clear and direct. There's a lot of I statements, I hope I will see you again. I'm becoming a better person, spiritual lesson. And that's the other thing to remember, is that this is not just our only go round. We are infinite beings who come here to Earth School to learn our soul's development through interacting with others. And so that do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The law of energetic return is something that we all experience. So when we see again in the next lifetime, we don't know what role we will have with those people who have been very challenging to us in this lifetime. Very likely that we are in a different expression of the same energetic dance from our last incarnation or previous incarnation. So, that's why I said it's super important to look for the energy within yourself in this awareness now. That way, we don't have to experience a different incarnation to go through the whole dynamic of what it feels like to be the person who is wrong to someone else. We can do the work now in this particular lifetime to work through that. So, as you can see, these decks are just really, gorgeous. I want to say there's about 50 cards in each deck. Now, the last set of cards, for those of you who are looking to connect with loved ones, what I think is very interesting is that these have the blue doorway. Now, there is a phrase in the South known as haint blue, and that's HAINT. So a haint is a spirit, and so the blue door is seen as a way to keep spirits away from your home. So I find it very interesting that we have this blue door here, because in this particular deck, I really feel that it works through the vibration of our loved ones, our departed loved ones who are on another plane. And so we're actually opening that door for the loving messages of those energies to come through. And so it's very interesting. And I have not heard the story behind this particular deck and why she chose these pictures, but I think it's very interesting. Also, we have the blue of like the throat chakra and Archangel Michael. And to me, blue is also then speaking truth for speaking the truth. So for many people, oftentimes we don't get to hear the messages that we wanted to hear from people while they are in life. And we were not necessarily able to tell them how we felt, and they weren't able to tell us really how they felt because they were involved in very much their human drama and experience. So I'm very interested to see. I'm not necessarily checking for any specific energy, but definitely from the realm that want to be shown this evening, and I'm sure it will come out who these messages are for. For those of you that are watching this reading, then I'm sure that you will know very clearly which one of your loved ones or ancestors is coming through. One of the things that's interesting is that, my grandfather in life, he would sing and I would play piano. And so when I first started becoming aware that I was hearing and clairaudient, hearing messages from the spirit realm, my grandfather was the first energy that I recognized, and it was because of the songs that he would be singing in my ear. So I think it's interesting. You speak through to me through music. I'm becoming a better person, and till we meet again, we will see those loved ones again, as I said, in a different expression in our next lifetime. See you next lifetime, is I think how the song says. All right. For those of you who wanted to know, there's a message from your loved one. All right. Hmm. I know you have trouble trusting. Wow, that is very interesting. How many of us have trust issues? I think everybody has trust issues at some point until we examine why we don't trust and go within. Every external issue you have with trusting others arises because you have a trust issue with your own self. When you step into acceptance and confidence and you move forward in your intuition, with your gut instincts, with your higher divine urges, then you are less troubled by external experiences that might cause you to have to take a risk because you realize that you are resilient and that you are infinite and you can survive these things. Every person who's had a heartbreak, when you heal through heartbreak, then you realize that it is not because you were unlovable, it is just because the situation and the vibration was not in alignment with the love that you desired. But many people carry then a distrust forward and to say, well, I can't, you need to take special care of me because I have trust issues. And really, what you need to do is take special care of you until you no longer have trust issues. And then you emerge out into dynamics where you engage other people. Once you have resolved that healing, then you don't have to keep people back from your tender parts, their trust. Okay. So, if anyone here is facing a loss of a loved one or a partner or someone in a relationship, do not feel bad about being happy in your present life. This energy would not want you to just suffer in the rest of your incarnation simply because they are not there with you. If you had a relationship with another person, even like a living person, ex-spouse, you don't have to be a widower or divorcee the rest of your life. You can, if you've lost, a child or a loved one or a family member, they are okay with you moving into a joyful life and would want that for you instead of you holding back and being in the grief of the loss for an extended period of time. So it's okay to be happy. Look at that. Happiness is not a betrayal of me. I wish you love and happiness. So, how beautiful are those to come next together? Spirit, once we move out of our earthly attachments back into spirit, spirit is like, be you. Enjoy this life, enjoy the incarnation that you have. Find all the joy, all the love and happiness. Okay. I'll find all of that for yourself because you are in a body. You are in your body. You are in this life for a reason. So don't let yourself live a half lived life because of some feeling of duty or obligation or grief to a person who is no longer here. Right. Mm, mm. And I hope that you can forgive me. Wow, we've been talking about forgiveness, an apology, when someone wrongs you. Forgiveness is the gift we give ourselves. We would all want to be forgiven for any harm that we've done to others, and therefore we should forgive those. If you're a church going person, then in the Lord's Prayer it says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. The law of energetic give and take, right? To be forgiving, then forgive others. And that whole thing of making a mistake, we tell the kids it's okay if our child spills something, spills the milk, or drops the vase. We may be angry, but we instantly move into forgiveness because we know that they made just a mistake, a simple mistake, and it's not the end of the world. So, whatever relationship that you had that was challenging, that might have had a situation where you feel like an apology was owed and you've had trouble trusting in things going forward since that time of betrayal or challenge, know that you can find it in your heart. You can find the path of forgiveness for that situation. And these are beautiful readings and cards. It's quite interesting here to see all of them coordinated together. I've never read with all the decks at once. So, there will be multiple people tuning in. So I know that those messages will speak to each person in their own way. And if it doesn't resonate, then it doesn't resonate. And that is also fine. Now, I also wanted to share that Chris at All Things Intuitives has two other products that I love. I actually don't have one right now, but her spray, her sage spray, is so amazing. I've purchased some for myself, and then I've given some to others. And whenever she gets it in stock, I try to keep some on hand. I actually don't have any at the moment, but I highly recommend it in her Etsy store. It's sage and infused with Reiki and rose quartz crystals, and it just is the best little pick me up and energetic clearer. And again, I recommend it. And then also, her newest product here are her charms. What is so interesting is that I have been looking for some charms that I had previously purchased and I cannot find them. And I was like, where are these charms? And next thing you know, All Things Intuitive comes out with her own set of charms. So I have not done a charm reading, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull a couple so that you can see what they look like. Now, with divination tools such as oracle cards and charms, allow what you react to, what you see, what comes to your mind. Allow that to be what speaks to you. There is no wrong or right way to interpret a message. What comes to you is for you, and the things that you see and the way that you see them is because it's special for you from your higher guidance to communicate. Okay, so we have here a tennis racket, which is interesting because we've been talking about back and forth, give and take. We're co creating dynamics with people. So at any time, we may have a foul against another person and they may foul us, but we know that we don't need to keep score of those things like you do in tennis, and know that the energy that you put out comes back to you. So make sure that if you want forgiveness, as I said, be forgiving. If you want love and compassion, be love and compassion. Very interesting. Oh, anchor. Now, this is wonderful. So, if you are anchored in yourself, where are you grounded in your emotions? The water are emotions, right? So many of us get caught up in the tide of emotions when there's a problem or a challenge happening. When you drop your anchor down and stay rooted and knowing that who you are and knowing that we are all blameless, then you will more easily be able to ride the waves and to also weather the storm. Okay. Oh, and we have here the tree. This is also beautiful. The tree is very much part of my the Vibrary logo, as you can see from my web page and things like that. But we are talking about also the tree of life and being rooted and grounded in Gaia and in Earth. And so when you are feeling challenged, go touch a tree. Trees are like the cleansing beings of the planet. So they help transmute pollutants, they can help transmute us, and they're like the living record they've been here since we humans have been here. And there are trees that have lasted thousands of years old. And so being able to tap into that ancestral, our family tree, our earth family tree, and realize that we are all also very connected. And I've read that the tree root network in the North American continent, that there is actually no separation, that all tree roots are actually interconnected with each other. That's something to remember. We are all connected. There is no such thing as division. The trees in Georgia are connected to the trees in Alabama, even if the Georgia Bulldogs and the Roll Tide Alabama folks don't get along. Your tree roots are intertwined. So don't forget that in everything, even those that we think that we don't resonate with, we are actually still connected. And also in the forest, they say that the tree roots will divert nutrients to other trees that need them through the root network. So that leaning on your circle, inner circle for support is something that we can do naturally. We allow our energy to be accessed by others. When we send loving frequency out into the world, those people who need that loving boost can access our energy and our vibration in order to hopefully elevate themselves as well. And now we have a beautiful leaf, and we are all leaves on the tree. I mean, this is quite beautiful. It goes with the tree there, and it is fall season. So as we know, things are falling off the trees and there are leaves everywhere. And that is part of the natural cycle. So also realize that if you've had a problem or a challenge and you found yourself moving out of a dynamic or situation, know that seasons change and that which is not growing will fall and be returned to the earth to be reborn and renewed, just the same as we are. And last but not least, we have our crown. So remembering that we are divine beings, we are all divine beings. There is no one person who is outside the divinity. We are also sovereign. So what we choose to experience and co-create as our reality with the divine can either be wonderful or terrible. So, step into your sovereignty and put your crown on and know that you can create the most beautiful kingdom for yourself. I love this. This is very, very beautiful energy here. And so I thank you all who tuned in this evening. Please do check out All Things Intuitive. As I said, these decks are quite wonderful. And I hope that you enjoyed this walkthrough. It's not even a walkthrough, this little reading for the collective. Please reach out. And until next time, I wish you so many blessings that they spill out from you onto the world around you. And know that the light in me absolutely honors the light in you. Namaste.